Uncle Ugat's here. Today is Monday night, 7 o'clock. You know what that means? That's right, Health Chat is coming to you. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
I am so excited. I know every time I start talking, I say I'm so excited, but I am so excited because we have a special guest. This is the first time that we've actually had a guest on. We have Kyle Hench. He is our youth pastor over at TMC, the church that we go to. And you're going like, what's this got to do with health? Well, let me tell you, we talked about it before. Spiritual health is just as important as physical health. Sometimes it's more important because your spiritual health will sometimes dictate what your physical health is. So I have Kyle's on, and we're going to be talking today about kids and how they're responding to having a relationship with God and where they are in what they do. A little bit about Kyle. He is our youth pastor over at TMC, but he is also the assistant football coach at Hickson High. So not only is he working with youth, but he's actually working with kids that may not know anything about church. And that's kind of the cool. That's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. Kyle, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing, Dr. Nick? Doing great, man. It's a great Friday and a good day to be alive. Great weather outside, and
oh, it's awesome out there.
Oh yeah, man. It's just one of those days where you wake up and you feel good momentum and just feel good about life.
I know you look good there, man. You got your beard done, your hair cut.
Yeah, man. You know, I tell people that going to the barbershop is like a good therapy session for me. I would certainly believe in the benefits of therapy, counseling. I'm not one of those overly religious guys. I believe in the value of a good counselor, and so my version of that is a barbershop, man. So get out of there, look good, feel good.
I thought your wife cut your hair, man.
Hey, you know, we thought about it. She kind of begged me to give it a shot, and we just never got around to it. I'm kind of peculiar about you start getting into the mid-30s, and I start worrying about if I cut it a certain way, will it come back? So I just thank God every day it's still there for now, and while it's there, I'll take care of it, right?
It's like the old saying, you don't mind it turning gray, you just don't want it turning loose. So, I'll let you say this. Your wife did not cut your hair, but I'll let you do a plug for who did cut your hair.
Hey, yeah, absolutely.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. Today it was my man Jared over at Frankie and Johnny's Barbershop. Frankie does a great job. Jared hooked me up today. So those guys do a great job over there, man. They put that hot towel on your face and kind of trim up the beard. It just you leave feeling like $1 million. It's a good experience.
There's something, we're digressing, of course, but, I understand that when women go and get their hair done, it's like a whole thing. It's like this spa treatment for them. Why can't we have the same thing, right?
Hey, it's all about the conversations, I remember stepping into I know we're off topic, but I remember stepping into the first time. And that's what I loved about it. Like back in the day, way before I was ever a thought in this world, the barbershop was such a cool location for conversation. It was a little mom ups with storefront, seating, and man, we don't have enough of those kind of places anymore. Just to meet people, connect, have conversations, and why not look good at the same time, right?
Yeah, really. Since we're doing this health thing, I'll have to put this out. You know why the barbershop pole looks the way it does?
I do not.
They used to be surgeons, and that was their idea. So think about that. It's barbers or cosmetologists. They used to be surgeons. It was barbers. I don't think they had cosmetologists back then, but yeah, they did. You said something funny. We don't script things here. In Health Chat, we don't script. We just talk off the cuff. We're raw, we're real. We'll make mistakes, but who wants to listen to something that's scripted? You want to see people that are really talking about things that are real. Now, we'll have a couple of little sound issues, we'll have a couple of video issues, but you know what? It's still going to be a great show, and I'm excited because you didn't even know that we were going to talk about certain things, and you didn't even have a script, and you said something about having a relationship. You go in there and you get that relationship with someone who's cutting your hair. Well, we're going to be talking about a relationship with the Almighty. And people think that, oh, I can't have a relationship with the Almighty. It's like going to have a relationship with the President of the United States. Like, oh, I can't have a president. I can't really have a relationship with the president. I don't even know the president. And yet we have the creator of the universe that allows us to have a relationship with him. And to get that as we're older is awesome. But to get that as younger people, how much different would our world look if the kids got into that relationship with the creator of the universe?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's so pivotal. I'm just such a firm believer. I've been in ministry now since I was 17 years old. I started my first youth ministry position at 20. I'll turn 35 here in a couple of weeks. So I've been doing this for a little while now. Still got a lot to learn, but man, one thing I've learned over the years is this whole battle between church being viewed as religion or relationship. And, I have settled myself firmly in the camp of relationships. And, I believe you look all through the scripture and you will find not just relationships, but as far as, topic of this podcast, Nick, you'll find healthy relationships and how, Jesus formed healthy relationships with everybody he met. And especially for young men, young women, at that age, I had no clue. I remember back in high school, I had no clue what having a relationship with the creator was all about. But I did understand, just the practical side of men and women coming into my life as a young man who embodied that, right? They were what I like to call incarnational in the way they practiced ministry. And so they inserted themselves into my life at an early age. And so I saw that they were Jesus to me. And so I've spent the last several years of my life trying to do that for somebody else. They may not understand at 17 what a relationship with Jesus is all about, but you know what? They'll have a positive relationship with a good adult role model who just happens to be trying every day to embody Jesus, and represent him well. So yeah, it's huge.
You said something really interesting. And even as adults, we do this. We look at people and we come to church and we go, hypocrite. We see them acting one way at home or in the office or in the grocery store for that matter. And then we see them in church, praising the Lord and, putting on an act. Now, that's not everybody in church. Of course, we know that. But there are people that do that. And you see people that come to church and go, oh, I don't want to go to that church. I know who they are outside of church. Mm-hmm. But yet we try to, walk the walk, talk the talk. I'm a firm believer in that. And I've always said this. If you meet me on the radio, if you meet me on YouTube or Facebook, if you meet me in person, if you see me in my office, I'm the same person. Mm-hmm. And I want to be that same person because people are looking at us. And especially as a youth pastor, you have young, impressionable minds looking at you going, how is he going to be? Is he really that nice because we're in church, or is he really that way outside of church? And I know you, Kyle. I know that you're that way out of church. And I know you're that way with the guys on the football team. I know you care about them. I know you love them. And you know what? That really shows. And when I see you and I go, he's a real guy. And that's what they need. And I think a lot of times youth are looking for people who are real.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to find nowadays.
Yeah, it really is. I got to thinking this week, as a coach, it's always fun to kind of watch the kids and kind of, learn from them what matters to them. And obviously right now you're living in the age of Gen Z. And what matters to them is that social media, that profile, the likes on that picture. And I was looking at one of my students' pictures this week, and the young man had made a post of all of his football pictures from the week before, and he made the caption that said, everybody has a chapter of their life that they don't want read out loud. And I thought, So I asked him about it this week, and I was like, what did you mean by that? And so he was just talking about it. He said, I've waited my whole life to have this opportunity. As this kid's a senior in high school. He said, I've waited my whole life. I've been dreaming about this opportunity my whole life. And so there was a lot of chapters before this moment for me that I didn't want anybody to know about. And he said, honestly, with my dreams as well, like this was a big dream for me that I didn't read out loud to anybody because I didn't want to mess it up. I didn't want to write the chapter too fast kind of thing. And so, I've kind of thought about that this week, and I've been thinking about that in relation to church. And you were talking about being hypocritical. And, I think the simple fact is kids understand that. And I think they understand that when they come into a church that I think we're trying to build here in Hickson, is that every single person that comes into our room on a Sunday or a Wednesday or whatever day that they come to the property, we all have chapters that we don't want read out loud. There's a little bit of hypocritical person in all of us, right? So, I mean, there's a bit of every single one of us that we really don't want people to know about. And I think finding an environment where it's okay that if that chapter did get read out loud, finding an environment where people would still accept you and still love you and, still be there for you. I think that's what students are truly looking for in this day. They've seen a lot of the fake stuff. I think so far as a coach, I love it. And I don't say this to toot my own horn or anything, because so at the end of the day, the value that I add to the coaching staff, I'm not certain always, but like we do year-end reviews, and last year after basketball season, I assisted coach of basketball as well. And one of the year-end reviews, one of the negatives that one of the kids said about me, they said, Coach Kyle's always too nice. That was the only negative I got out of the whole thing. And so, I've told our head coach, I said, at the end of the day, these kids are used to people in their lives that are yelling at them and putting them down and degrading them. And I just think it's a sense of we've forgotten how to motivate kids. I don't need to curse at you to get you fired up. I don't need to make you feel like you're less than to get you to improve or enhance your life. And so I go back to, I have staked my whole mission in life on relationships. And I feel like I can get more out of you on a court, on a football field, out of a church service, in everyday life. I can get more out of you, and I can get you to get where you want to be based off of relationships and love than I ever can with any other motivation tactic in the world. So I think that's part of it.
That makes so much of a difference in someone's life. In our office, we try to develop relationships with our patients, not because it's good customer service, but it's good care. Because once I know about you as a person, then I can treat you better and find out basically some of the causes of what's causing your problem. But it's really funny. I didn't really become a Christian until I was 30 years old. So up until that time, everybody goes, oh, you had to settle your wild oats. Well, yeah, but my wild oats were in 55-gallon drums. So I've been in a lot of places. I come from a broken home. And it was funny. I was just talking to my mom a little while ago and thanked her for the sacrifices that she made as a single parent for me to become the man that I am, because she fed into me. She didn't yell and scream and call me a loser and, when I messed up. And that made a huge difference in my life later on. Now, granted, I had my own issues that I was growing up with. I had my own insecurities I was growing up with. But because someone and people, not just my mom, but my stepfather and other people around me, inputted into my life, it made me who I am today. And that's one of the reasons why youth to me has been such a drive to want to help minister to the kids as well. Now, I didn't start as young as you did, but there's things that I've done in my life that these kids have either going to do or have done or have thought about doing. And I can honestly say, nah, you don't want to do that, because I've been there, done that, got the t-shirts to prove it. And sometimes, you hear like, well, you're an older man, you're 58 years old. What do you have in common with a 16 or 17-year-old? I have a memory. I didn't forget. I knew what I did back then, and I knew how affected me and how it didn't affect me. These kids have memories. So when you turn around and yell and scream and just are nasty, they're going to remember that. It's going to affect them when they're adults, just like it still affects me as an adult. It's kind of crazy. So, but by you talking to those kids and getting that compliment of going, "You're too nice," they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. They're going to look back and go, Pastor Kyle, he was really a cool guy. He was so nice to me. And somewhere deep down, when they need that, oh man, I have this deep stuff in me. They're going to remember you being nice. And that's cool. I mean, to me, that's just awesome.
Yeah. Jeff Henderson wrote a great book a couple of years ago. He called it 4. And he was talking about really about how to grow your business, grow your nonprofit. And he was just talking about how he was going into the idea of social media posts and stuff. And he was talking about how, when companies like Home Depot or Chick-fil-A or somebody comments personally and leaves you with a good taste in your mouth, like they have personally interacted into your story and they've commented on a picture of you or whatever, how it just leaves it creates a wow factor, for them. And so, I've experienced that, when you treat a kid in a certain way, there's going to be plenty of times in their lives, throughout the rest of their life to experience negativity. There's going to be plenty of times for them to have negative memories of adults in their life who were caught off guard by something they said, were shocked, were perturbed, were angry, were frustrated, were physical, were violent, were abusive. There are going to be plenty of times for those negative moments. I want that wow factor to be left in a young man, young woman's life that they say, hey, looking back, yeah, wow, that guy was nice. Wow, that lady was nice. That lady provided me a healthy model of how I want to be. And that's what Jeff Henderson said in his book 4. Our message can't be what we're against. Our message can't be, here, come look at my product. Our message can't, so I don't walk onto a high school property, or I don't walk into my church. I don't go promoting what's going to bring me value. I go promoting, hey, I'm here for you. What do you need? What brings you value? Because you're valued to me. And I think that's really where it gets down into what's healthy. I felt that way when I walked into your office. You walked me around. You introduced me to people that worked with you. And I felt like I wasn't getting preferential treatment. I felt like I was getting the same treatment as anyone else who came in off the street because you wanted to know my name. It's the same reason companies like Starbucks are blowing it out of the water because we learn your name. Chick-fil-A, it's my pleasure. It's kind of that same strategy. It's not to be fake. It's not to be inauthentic or disingenuous. It's to put on a real. It's to put your heart and to lead with your heart and say, this is a decision I'm making in my life that you matter. You are valued. That's healthy. That's what kids need to see.
You said that, like when you came into my office and you felt that. Well, the ladies that work in my office, Shay and Misty, they exude that. Mm-hmm. And I really believe that comes from the top down. You're the way you are inherently. So when you were hired at the ministry center, you then were an extension of Pastor Jimmy and Renee, who are like that genuinely anyway. Like if they weren't open and honest and friendly and serving, you could be that way, but it would not have the impact that it has. You're flourishing in an environment that was designed for that, which is awesome. I mean, that's just when you walk into the church, you feel that. And that's what's really cool about that is you're able to extend what you already do in an environment that was created for that, which is amazing to me. And, these kids, we're talking about this. Oh, we're so sweet. We're so nice. We're so this, we're so that, you guys are just, participation trophy people. No, we're not. Mm-mm. If somebody comes in and they've done something wrong, you don't yell and scream at them and go, I'm a little disappointed. What happened? You're a great person. You're a good guy. You're a good girl. what happened here? And then when they get to explain it, they already feel bad about it. You don't have to make them feel worse than they already do. But, you talk to them about, this was wrong. It's wrong. But, what happened? Because when you really start talking to them, you find out that it was something that happened slowly and then just seemed like it was quick, but it happened very slowly, and it can be avoided in the future. And I think you're good at doing that, and Blake's good at doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's a lot of balancing grace and truth. I think that's healthy. I think you've seen a lot of, on the spiritual side of the street in the church world, you've seen a lot of, we're going to err on too much grace, and so a kid never gets challenged. And then you've also seen the side where we're going to err on the side of truth, and a kid never gets accepted or never even has a chance to come back because of the way they've been treated. And so, I as a 35-year-old guy, soon to be
young man.
Yeah. When I had a choice when I moved to Chattanooga, and you're right, it extends from the top down on how I treat people, but I linked myself to someone who was like me. With Pastor Jimmy and Renee, the way they treat people, I saw that. And what I've learned is that healthy people see other healthy people, and they enjoy being around that type of atmosphere. And so, like, even for young kids, they see everybody wants to think that, they're about the graphics, or, they're about the fame and the spotlight, and they just want instant gratification. And that there is some to that, but really, they have seen so much fakeness in their worlds, and I hate to say it that way, but you look to politics and they don't know what's right and what's wrong, because everybody's just always arguing. You look, inside your own home sometimes, and you see everybody arguing, and whatever it may be. And so they just want something that's healthy, and they want to link themselves up with people who make them feel important, who make them feel like they matter. And so, honestly, they want a place where they can come in and they can say things. One of the first rules I learned early on was it was surprising. Kids would come up and they would say some of the most shocking things, because they're testing your mettle. As an adult, they want to know that when I say this to you, when I tell you what's going on in my life, you're not going to yell at me. You're not going to look down on me, and C, you're not just going to be like overcome by like, oh my goodness, can't believe they just said that to me. They want to know that they can be open in that moment, and you are going to respond in a healthy way. And so, I've got, I think relationships get you in the door. It's all about grace. It's all about love. That's your intro. I mean, it's just like anything else. You want to have a good intro into this podcast because it catches people's eye. You want the first couple pages of a book to be something that you make somebody want to keep turning the covers. And so it's the same way with your relationships. I want the first 10 minutes that a young man, young woman spends in around me, I want them to enjoy that 10 minutes so much so that I get the chance later on to get to that chapter that they didn't want anybody else to read, so that I can deposit something in them that will not just, impress them. It's not to wow them. And it's really to literally change their life, but unless you get to that moment, too many people want to come right out the gate and be like, you're wrong in this, and this is not the way you want to do it. Too many people have responded in anger or whatever it may be to these kids. You shouldn't be, smoking weed. You shouldn't be, drinking. You shouldn't be going to. And so people respond in anger. I mean, literally, kids come home to environments where people are just cruel. Their parents are cruel, or parents are not even there, or whatever it may be. They need to be able to say, hey, I went through this. How do you feel about it? How do I respond to it? And I think when you look in the scriptures, Nick, I think that's where you turn to for me for health. You see a God who he's not blown away by, the prostitute who's thrown into the street in front of him, and they're like, judge her now, throw stones at her now. How are you going to respond to this? He responds in love. He responds in the moment, but he responds in love. I see a God who is, confronted with a leprous individual who everybody in society says, don't touch, stay away, avoid. This should shock you. This should scare you. And Jesus, again, he responds instantly, and he makes connection, and his presence is inviting. And most every time you see Jesus in those moments where nobody else would even involve themselves, he leads with grace, but he always leads people with truth. He always says something to the effect of, go do this no more. And so I think that's the whole part of being healthy as a youth minister, healthy in dealing with students. And it doesn't have to be on a spiritual level. I mean, some people don't necessarily buy into the church, and obviously we've given them reasons over time not to, but even on a practical level, even if you take, and it's hard for me to do that, but even if you took, God out of the equation, Jesus out of the equation, still the way you treat human beings should be in a way that, I'm going to respond to you with human decency, and I'm going to make you love the fact that you are with me, that you had a good time when you were around me, you didn't feel judged or you didn't feel uncomfortable. But hey, at the end of the day, I hope I build a good enough relationship with you that when I need to say tough things, I have the relational equity to say those things,
And that's hard to develop, but I have to give you kudos to this. With this pandemic, we have not been in church. We started back in church, we had to stop, and then we started back in, and we've been only doing Sunday night services. And now this past Wednesday, we had everybody come to church on a Wednesday night. We brought the youth together outside. We played games, you did devotions, and they had the adults on the inside. What impressed me the most, Kyle, and I didn't get a chance to tell you this, I'm going to tell you it now though. What impressed me the most was we had more kids this Wednesday night than we have had before the pandemic, which I thought was really interesting and really cool. What that tells me is that they were yearning to come back to something that was real, something that they felt loved and cared for. And that's just a testimony to you and to Pastor Blake and Pastor Talley and Pastor Renee, because that's what the church is all about. When I think of churches, I don't want to go to a church that's going to chastise me for what I have done before or what I may do. Listen, we have a God that died for us so that our sins can be forgiven. We sin every single day, but yet we're forgiven every day. We're not supposed to keep sinning in the same sin. We're supposed to learn from those and not do it again, but we still fall short. And I think that seeing those kids there on Wednesday night was just an awesome testimony of not only what you're doing, but the fact that God wants them, loves them, cares about them, and is making them feel comfortable somewhere where they might not at home. Because, we talk about, growing up in a house. I wasn't abused. I don't think you were, but there are kids that go through situations where we would not even think can occur and is occurring every single day with them. And I think that, I don't know how to fix that. All I know is that if we input something different and more positive, they're going to grow differently and say, hey, wait, I don't want to do this. I don't want to continue through this.
Yeah. I went to Honduras a couple of years ago, several years ago now, but one of my mentors, William Lamb at Lee University, we went to Honduras, and I remember coming back from that trip and just seeing the incredible amount of poverty, incredible amount of kids who, I remember we went to one state-run orphanage, and there was a young baby there, probably under the age of 2. At that time, I wasn't a parent at that time yet. And I remember taking this baby, and I remember the ladies who were working that nursery were angry. I couldn't figure out why they were angry. The baby was crying. I picked the baby up, and we got to go outside and play with the kids, and I was holding this child. The ladies were angry because in that state-run orphanage, basically they let the babies cry because there's not enough workers. So if you pick the baby up every time it cries, then you just repeat the pattern. So for them, because they can't physically pick up every child that was in that, they would just let babies cry so they would learn to stop crying out for help. And so for me to take that child outside, for them, that was, for the workers there, it was troubling to them because now I've messed up their routine of we can't save everybody. So for me, in a moment, I'm getting experience, like this was life-changing to me. That child will probably never remember that moment at that age. But I came home and I said, what can I do? William, I can't go back to normal on this one. And so I remember my mentor, William, telling me, Kyle, you may not be able to save every child in Honduras. You may not be able to save that child, and who knows where that child is today and what's going on in its life. But he said, you can start next door. Go find your neighbor next door who needs help. And that's the message of Jesus is, who is my neighbor? And so I find the people in my life that I can make an impact on, and I do it. Even if I can't do it for everybody, it shouldn't stop me from still trying to do something positive for at least one. And I start with one, and I go to the next one, and I go to the next one. And, you made a comment about Wednesday night with all these kids coming back. Nick, that was from 3 years of relationship building. A lot of people think, oh, I'll be kind and give me 10 minutes. And then, here we'll have this great relationship. And I can, some of these kids have went through so much. I didn't see that response for 3 years. So, you may be at home as a parent and you may be trying to figure out how can I get through to my teenager? Like they're going through this phase in life, and I'm here telling you, well, be kind to them. And you're like, well, I made them breakfast this morning. Now that means that they should respond to my kindness. And it's not always going to happen immediately. And as a parent, don't beat yourself up, because your kid's not automatically responding to your kindness or your generosity. Some kids it's going to take longer than others, and some may choose to never respond, but that's not on you. You just got to keep trying. And so after 3 years, we saw that response. That's totally a God thing. And I do think it was a response to some of the stuff that these kids have been dealing with through COVID, because they have literally seen, I saw so many seniors, class of 2021 out here last Wednesday. And what it was is I've seen, they have witnessed the class of 2020 see so many things taken away. And so now this class of 2021 has this newfound appreciation for the things they get to experience in their lives, and they don't want to miss it. And so I think if you're patient long enough and you're healthy in your relationships with these kids, then they will experience what they need to so that you can be received when you're trying to reach them. It just takes a little time.
And you said something interesting with the baby crying and you picking up the baby. Well, as a teenager, you're going to act out. Yeah. That's your cry for help. A lot of these people who may be bullies or introverted, you look at their circumstances, and this is why they're reacting to situations, because they're actually crying out. And I guess as adults and as parents, we have to sit back and go, why are they doing this? What is the underlying cause of this? Because once we can find that cause, then we can fix the problem. And that's kind of a cool thing that you get to do in youth groups. But I got to tell you this, but when I first came to TMC, I thought, you know what, let me plug in with the youth because that's what I did at my other church and I'll help out. Well, these kids were like, who are you, dude? Like, why are you in my sandbox? Because I don't know who you are. And Wednesday night, because we were doing Zoom together and we were able to kind of interact with them, they're like, now they're talking to me because I just gained the fact that you were there on Zoom with us. So you got to be okay. So maybe I'll talk to you now. And I thought that was pretty interesting that they kind of opened up a little bit, which was kind of cool. Because at first you're figuring, hey, I'm pretty cool. I'm an old guy, but I'm pretty cool. Why don't you want to talk to me? And that's the reason they are so protective of their emotions and their inner self that they don't want to give that to anybody. And you know what? That's kind of a sad thing, and it's a good thing too. But I think more kids need. We're talking about youth at church, but I'm hoping that our listeners and viewers say, you know what, maybe I need to look at my situation a little bit differently. Why is my daughter's girlfriend acting that way? Or why is my son's boyfriend acting that way? Or how can we fix this? Bring them in and showing them love, caring, and understanding without judgment. And I think that's what it's all about. God and Christ judged us differently with kindness and love. And I think we lack that. I think if we saw more love within others, we would have less problems and the whole world would be a better place. It's like, well, how do we make things better? Start loving people. Start meeting them where they are. Some people are going to get it. Like you said, some people you're going to be able to help. Some people you're not going to be able to help. But if you don't try, you'll never know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting. we tend to, as adults, we try to get our children to fit into our lives. So my daughter will be 3 this month, and I tell you, I try to have as much patience as I can. But there are days where I come in and I'm loaded down with work, or I'm frustrated about something, or I've got a situation going on with another kid that just is weighing on my mind. And there are moments where I sense myself losing my patience, and I'll watch. And you mentioned the temper tantrums. I see Harper like just cave down in the floor, and she's just, she's stopping she wants the whole world to stop. And those moments, as a parent, I've got a couple of options. I can let go of all my temper or my frustration. I can take it out on my child, or I can stop in the moment and try to figure out, why is she acting the way she's acting? What is it that she's needing? And you're talking about crying out. And I've tried to make it a practice with my daughter, even at 2 going on 3. I'm going to talk to you like an adult. There is no goo goo gaga gibberish stuff. We're talking through and reasoning things through. I'm trying to teach her that skill at an early age, but I want her to know, hey, when I see you crying out and I see you pitching a fit, like what we used to call, like when I was growing up, pitching another fit, I see that, and I want to respond to that in the right way so we can correct the behavior. And, you see your kids later on in life, and they're doing something you don't want to, hey, some adults are just like, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm not going to go. Don't bring your friends around me. Don't bring your boyfriend, your girlfriend around me. I don't want any part of this. I'm just, and you've seen some parents completely leave the house altogether, but because they can't handle it. And so, I just think there's got to be a better way of dealing with students who are struggling than, I don't have time for this, or I'm going to lash out against this. There has to be some level of, I see that my child is in need, or I see that this young man or this young woman is in need, and I've got to have the patience. Because for me, it all comes back to Jesus Christ. And I was talking to our head football coach about that this morning, is that I can't believe, it's unimaginable to me, like how much grace has been extended to my life and how much patience the Lord has with me every single morning I wake up. Far be it for me to not extend that to other kids or to other people, other human beings,
You got me thinking about Harper and Nicholas and Harper are close in age, my grandson. And when I'm with him, the boy tries me because he is me. I know that sounds really crazy. I'm paying for, I told his mom this last night. I said, I'm paying for my raising through your son. And I find myself going, wow, I really appreciate my mom now after all of that stuff. Kyle, this has been a lot of fun. I have to say, this has been a lot of fun. We've actually gone a little bit longer than I expected, which is fine. But I want to do this again. I want you to come on again. I want to be able to kind of run things past you like we did today. And I want Pastor Blake to come on too, because I think this would be a lot of fun. And, as we talked about, this is a health show, but if you can help your kids, they're going to be better. And if they're better, you're going to be better. Your household's going to be better. And you know what? They're looking for good examples. So let's give them good examples. Let's give them something that they can sink their teeth in, something that's special. If you guys watching, subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow Pastor Kyle. He's at TMC University, the Ministry Center, and give out some numbers, Kyle, where they can get a hold of you and contact you. And I mean, even if they want to just kind of chit chat on your Instagram or Facebook or one of those, shoot some of those numbers and letters out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 ways to connect with our student ministry. The big one is TMC Students on Instagram. It's just at TMC Students. I personally don't have Facebook or Instagram. I deactivated those a long time ago from my personal self, just because I needed some more health in my life. And so that's another conversation another day. Cammy, you need someone to talk to in life. I'm 24/7, 365. You can call me. My number is 423-280-0960. 9003. Yes, I know that sounds crazy to give out your personal number over a podcast, but I'm just that kind of guy. I do want to be open. I want to help people. And so if you really have an issue, you're a young man, young woman, or you're a parent listening into this conversation, you're like, I just need some help. I will do everything I can to help you. At some point, it goes beyond me professionally, but I definitely will be an ear, and I'll be a friend. And sometimes that's really what we need, is someone just to listen and hear our problems. And so if I can help, let me know. I'd be happy to talk with you.
You know, I love the fact that Pastor Kyle's that real to give out his phone number. You know, like I said, you can see us on Facebook. You can see us on YouTube, and we're podcasting this. It's Health Chat with 2 T's. If you want to get a hold of me, you can email me at healthchat@gmail.com. Guys, this has been a great show. As always, I have way too much fun doing this. So everybody, you have a great week. Enjoy. God bless, and we'll see you next Monday.